So let me explain to you about police brutality in mainly urban city areas. So in cities such as like Philly, New York, I'm just gonna say Philly, New York, Chicago too, okay, Detroit too, honestly. We grow up with this thought of not liking the police automatically. Like when we're born, we're just taught to, if the police come, you either run or you turn away. It's also this no snitching policy, so we just don't talk to police. That's just something that's engraved into our system, and it's something that the cycle continues inside all black communities everywhere. Honestly, we don't talk to police because the police are not for us. The police don't protect the way they're supposed to protect, at least not for the black community.
Hey, can you say more about that historically? Like, where does that come from?
So, historically, it mainly stems from usually Caucasian people having the authority inside America, and when they have the authority, they don't do the correct thing with their authority. So basically, they abuse the fact they have the authority over other people, and inside black communities especially, it stemmed from police when they how do I explain this? They pretty much put patrol cars inside of all black neighborhoods to monitor black people and see what they were doing. So when the patrol cars came and they started making small arrests, the police and black people started to come in contact more, but not the proper way to come in contact with police. It was more in negative manners. If you see them, you're probably locking me up, questioning me about my friend, or patting me down with the stop and frisk. Right. So it just stems from a long time ago.
All right, Ethan, teach us something about police violence, right? I put violence in quotes, right, because it's relative, and racism. And you can define racism any way you want, and you can say it whatever you want, however you want to do it, anything.
All right. So I'll start out by saying that, my hand shot up right away because I actually was hoping that this would be one. I like this topic.
Yep.
I don't really have a strong view one way or the other, but I have very strong opinions about this topic, mainly in the case of just the mass blame that all cops get for a few bad apples.
Okay, so remember, you're teaching the class about it. So your first lesson, your first statement is, yeah, there are a few bad apples for sure, and cops get blamed in mass for things. Okay, cool. Go ahead, man. Cool.
I think that goes with almost every stereotype, though. Whether it's blacks or the Islam side that we had. Mm-hmm. Whenever there's someone, it's the same thing whenever there's a crime committed by maybe a black person and it's related to gangs, or when there's a crime committed by someone who's Muslim and it's an act of terror, but then when a white person could commit that same crime, it's not really seen as a terrorist act. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think that when it comes down to it, though, with the whole Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, I think a big issue is just the response that comes from maybe the African American community or police officers who take it into their own hands. I think that's the only thing that needs to stop. When one racist cop goes over the line, maybe even kills a black person that did not deserve it, and then the response from possibly a black member of the community is to turn and shoot two pigs in the back. I'm not saying that happens all the time. I'm just saying that that's specifically not the answer.
Yeah.
On one hand, but on another hand, you have the fact that cops that'll do these things, I think you guys all know about the body cams that the police sometimes wear now, just to kind of enforce this. I don't really think that's the answer either. I'm not saying that we should just let them go. I'm saying who gets a body cam? Do all police officers get a body cam? Do some police officers get a body cam? Do police officers that are more likely to?
Yeah.
I just don't think there's a point, because when it comes to the point of maybe we should just give body cams to police officers that are potentially racist. Potentially racist police officers just shouldn't be police officers. You shouldn't have potentially racist police officers.
Off your point of the bad apples, I understand that the point of view that you're coming from with talking about how there are cops that aren't doing this, but as it's shown throughout history is that sometimes the peaceful majority is irrelevant. And unless something is done, nothing will change. So this is kind of for both of you, is what are you looking to have change then?
Good, nice question. In some ways, you don't even have to answer that, but it's a good question. Like, what do we do? Where do we start the change? We'll talk about that in the class, by the way.
Like when he said,
Ethan.
no.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah. So like when he said make a change, one community is building frustration while the other one is just watching what's on the news. So how can there be an equal change if there's two different experiences?
Dude, good question, man. And if you're not privy to race relations in the United States, mind you, that is the beginning of the conversation about race relations in the U.S. It's like we're not starting at the same place, and so a lot of times we're trying to. We can only imagine that if we're going to start moving somewhere, we got to all have to start together, but we're starting at different places. So.